this is Oscar Mike here with this Europa Universalis 4 guide. Today we're going to be playing as the Byzantine Empire and restoring all of our Byzantine cores. This is taking place in Ironman with the latest version of the game, Cossacks. I'm Oscar Mike, and as always, thanks for watching. Alright folks, let's discuss our opening. As an essential prerequisite to this guide, we're going to need a diplomatic reputation advisor. We'll convert our faction leader and heir into military commanders. Fill out our rival slots, pick our mission, improve prestige. We're going to assign a nobility estate to Kiev. That'll boost our loyalty with nobility up to 71%. Transfer 7,000 troops from Constantinople to Moria. Lower army maintenance to 0. Recruit 2 Eastern medieval infantry regiments in southern Greece. Mothball all our fortifications. And take our remaining ships, anything that isn't a transport, send it to Moria, and mothball that too. Finally, we'll set as our national focus military. And we'll do something you don't often see. We'll convert our administrative and diplomatic points into boosting base production and taxes in southern Greece. Finally, we'll send our diplomats to improve relations with Hungary, Poland and Wallachia. So let me start off by discussing some of the reasons behind the moves we've just taken. We're not going to have any use for administrative and diplomatic power whilst fighting the Ottomans. They're not going to confer any benefits to us by teching up. So, to get the best use out of them, we plough them straight into boosting our economy. An added benefit is that by boosting our base tax and production, our overall development, we'll also correspondingly boost our total land force limits from 10 to 11. That'll allow us to sustain a larger land army. It is important to stress both the aims of our Byzantine start guide and how we go about achieving them. So the Ottomans have just warned us that'll prevent us from launching any peripheral wars without the Ottomans intervening. So the aims are fairly straightforward. We're going to reclaim our Byzantine cores against the Ottomans. We'll aim to crush the Ottomans before 1453. Why that date? Well, this guide has to defeat the Ottomans quickly in order for it to be an effective guide. And 1453 because that was the historical date on which Constantinople fell to the Ottoman Turks. So that leaves us about 8 years to destroy the Ottoman Empire. In previous guides, I would always emphasize defeating the Ottomans navally, blockading the Strait of Bosphorus, and then occupying all of the Ottoman cores west of Constantinople. However, Paradox has made some significant changes in the meantime, and that strategy is now redundant. So we'll cement our alliance with Wallachia. So the new strategy is a little different. We now aim to defeat the Ottoman army in the field, and then siege down their fortifications of Selanik and Edirne. And the way we're going to do that is through a series of stages. We'll set up our alliances, induce the Ottomans to attack us, aim to encircle the Ottoman army in southern Greece, fight defensive battles against them, all the while working in conjunction with our allies to siege down Selanik and Edirne, and then ultimately vanquish the enemy army in the field. And only by completing all those stages will we be able to successfully achieve the goals of this guide. So, it's important to stress at this point in time that we will not be seeking an alliance with Poland. Now here's an event, petition for redress. Not too concerned about this event because in reality it's not going to make any material difference to whether or not we're successful. So we're going to aim to achieve alliances with Hungary and Wallachia, which we have already done. We're not going to look for an alliance with Poland. I can see the Ottomans have declared war on Albania. The Ottomans will not declare war on you whilst they have an existing war with any state, even if it is a minor nation like Albania. And there are specific ways you can tell when the Ottomans are about to attack you. And I'll show you that as this guide progresses. So we have a rebel rising in Moria. We'll crush that, and I'll get back to talking about how we're going to defeat the Ottomans. So I mentioned we can encircle their army in southern Greece, but we're not going to be able to kettle them up there forever. Now, whilst you're preparing for this war, just keep boosting your base production and taxes in Achaea and Moria. That's really going to help by increasing your total land force limits. Don't do this in Constantinople, however, because Constantinople may and often will be besieged by the enemy. And we'll keep our troops stationed in Achaea at all times, never Moria. That'll give us the opportunity to evacuate Achaea and save our army if the Ottomans should declare war on us. So very much in defeating the Ottoman army, we're going to be adopting the George Washington style of military leadership. That is, we're going to be basically crushed in every battle, suffer humiliating defeat after defeat, lose horrific casualties, but ultimately hope to wear down the enemy army in conjunction with our allies and finally defeat their army. Sound easy? Well, it's not as difficult as you might think. But for now, let's just focusing on setting ourselves up in a position where the Ottomans to attack us, we be prepared. And that means necessarily cementing our alliance with Hungary. As for a fleet, well, we're not going to attempt to fight any type of naval battles with the Ottomans. In fact, we're going to try and sell off as much of our fleet as we can. Use that money and plough it into increasing our army size and maintaining our army. We'll keep our fleet mothballed for the entire duration of this war. And a few important provisos to take note of as we discuss this guide. First off, keep your army stationed in Achaea at all times, and when you go on the offense, the first province you should aim to attack is Yanya. And the reason why that is, it has superb defensive modifiers. So we're just biding our time for now. Another thing I should mention, with my 11,000 troops, you should have recruited 3 Latin medieval infantry units in total so far up to this point. Make sure you select your main army and have the attached to this unit box selected. That will ensure that when war is declared, Athens' 3,000 troops will join yours and fight alongside you in any subsequent battles. The key theme here is to keep your army concentrated. Don't disperse your forces. And another tenet of this strategy is that we're going to be stressing a common theme throughout all my guides. That's the maneuverability doctrine. So we've maxed out our relations with Hungary and Poland. I'm going to hire the diplomatic reputation advisor. That's going to push us over the top, allow us to form a royal marriage with both Poland and Hungary. But for the purposes of this guide, we're only going to form a lasting alliance with Hungary. So I'll select the royal marriage. And that's going to allow us a fully fledged alliance. Hungary is in fact an excellent ally when fighting the Ottomans. And the reason why is not only do they have a lot of troops, but they have an excellent 4-shock general. Anytime we get an event that increases any of our monarch points, with the exception of military monarch points, we're going to use that in boosting base production and taxes in Achaea and Moria. Now, in order for this strategy to work, we're going to have to induce the Ottomans into attacking us. And it's a way you can tell if an imminent invasion is about to occur on the part of the Ottomans. And I'll show you that tell when it happens. But for now, I'm reasonably satisfied that the Ottomans don't aim to attack us. when I think they're going to attack us, I'll be sure to let you know. So I said we're going to sell our fleet. When I said we're not going to try to compete navally with the Ottomans, I wasn't kidding. We'll strip our fleet down to as small a size as possible. Sell our trade ships to any would-be buyer. In fact, the Athenians are always prepared to buy your trade ships, so I'll sell them to the Athenians. We should get 40 ducats from them. Yep, so we'll take that. And we'll sell off any... We'll try and sell off as many galleys as we can to Athens and anyone else. Like I said, Athens will usually buy up 4 to 5 of your ships, which will provide us the necessary ducats we need to sustain a large land army. Now, in order to defeat the Ottomans militarily and on land, we're going to need to push our army way above the force limits, and a force limits of 11, which is part of the reason why I'm working so feverishly to conserve as much money as possible. We're going to need a big war chest when we do fight this war, and that's what we aim to have. Just taking a look to see if I can sell any other ships. Have to see if we can sell to the Athenians again. They will buy some galleys, but they're currently at the force limit, so we'll split our fleet in 2. And aim to sell 2 galleys to Athens. That should get us 20 ducats, and we're going to need all the money we can get in order for this strategy to work. I would say of all the guides I've produced, winning against the Byzantines with the Cossacks DLC in the latest patch is by far and away the hardest, even harder than my Albanian start guide. It is extremely challenging, but as I aim to demonstrate, you can win, and you can win repeatedly if you adhere to the essential precepts of this strategy. So I can only see one Ottoman enemy army, and if that's all I can see, I can be reasonably sure that the Ottomans don't aim to attack me. Still working on trying to sell these ships, so it doesn't look like I'll be able to sell any more of them, and that's fine. We've got 90 ducats, which is about where I'd want to be by 1448. So we see some enemy army movement at the moment. 15,000 troops, Ottoman troops, pouring through the Strait of Bosphorus, and we're going to keep an eye on that, because that could be an indicator that the Ottomans are planning to attack us. Yep, okay, now when you see this, that is as clear an indicator as an attack is imminent. See the way the Ottomans have sent 14,000 additional troops to surround Constantinople, so that's going to trigger an immediate reaction from me. I increase maintenance to my army and my forts. I should have between 1 to 3 months. Yeah, you see the way they've surrounded my capital? I've highlighted it there. That means the Ottomans are about to launch an imminent attack against you. And it's a surefire way. It means if you see that, expect an invasion between 30 and 90 days. So we're hiring additional troops. Increased all maintenance. Hired a cavalry unit and an infantry unit. Now we're losing money, but that's fine. We will have to take a significant amount of loans to execute this strategy. And we're just preparing ourselves for the attack. There it is, the onslaught has begun. So that triggers an immediate reaction from us. We send our army, 11,000 troops, into Yanya. Yanya confers excellent defensive terrain upon us, and the Ottomans will be loath attacking headlong into you so long as you're in that province. So hopefully the Athenians should reinforce. I should stress, the first thing the Ottomans like to do when they declare war on you is they like to go after your ally Wallachia, and they'll usually wipe out the Wallachian army within the first couple months of the declaration. And that's fine, we anticipate that. So I'm just going to keep my army in Yanya because it's got good defensive terrain. I'm going to detach 2 units and see if I can occupy the surrounding territory. So there's the Ottoman army. It consists of 25,000 troops. With the Ottoman tech group, they have outstanding cavalry and infantry. So we can't attempt to go toe-to-toe with them. We have to fight defensive battles. And we're going to be heavily reliant upon the Hungarians, who can also field an impressive 20,000 troops. You see all those Ottoman ships sailing about the Aegean Sea? Well, we could never possibly hope to compete with that type of fleet. And that's why we haven't tried to. They can blockade our provinces, but aside from that, the Ottoman fleet can do absolutely nothing to us. So here comes the enemy army. So after attacking Wallachia, the Ottomans seem to follow a predetermined trajectory. They send their entire army south to Achaia or Moria, but basically to southern Greece. They will not attack your forces in Yanya, so I keep recruiting more troops. I want to have about 14,000 troops in total. That's going to be 3,000 troops above the total force limits. And they will not attack me in Yanya because we've got 2 strong defensive bonuses. So they'll usually park their army in Terala. If they move further south into Athens and the Achaia, just lure them back by detaching single regiments and aim to occupy their provinces. That will always precipitate a counterattack from the Ottomans. So the Hungarians also have sort of a predetermined trajectory once war is declared. They amalgamate their entire army into a single 20,000 man army and head straight to Selanik. And I cannot stress how important it is that we siege down Selanik quickly. In order to win, we have to capture 2 fortifications. The fortification in Selanik and the fortification in Edirene. And Selanik is the obvious precursor to Edirene, their capital. So we'll split our army into 2, occupy strong defensive terrain, seeking to encircle the enemy army, and you can see we've done that. They have no means by which they can break free. If they attack us in either one of the provinces we occupy, we can reinforce with our entire army and fight a strong defensive battle. So usually they'll just park their troops here for some time. Now they will attempt to break out, and you'll see that later. But for the meantime, we're just playing a slow game of occupying their provinces, trying to siege down their castles, and avoiding any major confrontation. You can see we are losing money, but I'm not excessively concerned about that. Now, there is some movement out of the Ottomans. They will oftentimes do this. They'll move south, almost feigning an attack into Achaia and Moria, but we're not worried about that at all. So I'm going to see if I can occupy Terala. Downside of this, that oftentimes provokes them to return up north, and that's what they're going to do. So we'll retreat and continue to focus upon sort of enveloping this army, sequestering it in southern Greece, and keep it from doing significant damage to us, both by occupying our provinces and destroying our army. Also, it's very important to emphasize that we cannot let any subsequent Ottoman armies reinforce with the 26,000 man army. So you see a 3,000 man cavalry army moving up through Sofia and onto Uskup. So we'll seek to eliminate that before it can regroup with the main enemy army. Otherwise, the Ottoman army in its totality would be unassailable. So that's what we're going to do. We'll move our troops up north. Combine all our forces. And seek to stack wipe that enemy army. We will suffer high attrition for this, but it's worth it. Now we do expect the Ottomans to move immediately north and attempt to reinforce. That's why we're counting up on the ability to stack wipe this army within a few days. So we attack. 0-0 shock rolls. And we stack wipe that army. So that's a good start. First battle with the Ottomans has been extremely successful. Now we'll move south again, attempt to reoccupy the strong defensive terrain in Yanya and Kespai. All the while simply detaching a few regiments and seeking to occupy what Ottoman provinces we can. But the linchpin of our strategy revolves around those Hungarian troops in Salonik successfully sieging down those fortifications. Our role is purely secondary. Now the Ottomans are going to move up through into Yanya. We don't want to take a battle in Yanya. We will get extremely strong defensive terrain. However, because we're two provinces away from the Hungarian army, we won't be able to get any reinforcements. So we'll be able to withdraw in time and avoid a direct battle with the Ottomans by retreating north into Kaspai. Always aiming to keep our army concentrated so that no isolated stacks can be defeated. Bearing in mind we have extremely limited manpower because we're playing as the Byzantines. The Ottomans have virtually limitless troops. Again, the attrition penalties are going to be very heavy, especially in winter. And we will suffer heavy casualties. We're 3,000 troops over the force limits. We're going to move south, just seeking to see if we can occupy some more Ottoman provinces. And moving back into Yanya. So you can see how we're aiming to kettle the Ottoman army in southern Greece while the Hungarians and the Wallachians do work by sieging down their fortifications and also occupying the northern provinces. However, the Ottomans are going to attack through Yanya, so we're going to face our first battle. I hardly expect to win, because the Ottoman troops and general is utterly superior to my own, both in quantity and quality. I hire some additional regiments, predicting heavy casualties. Hire a morale advisor, although I generally recommend against that because we hired that morale advisor before the end of the month, so we're not actually going to get the benefit of that additional morale. Would have been excellent if I had a discipline advisor though. So they attack, they suffer a -2 penalty to attacking force. They have higher discipline than us. We're suffering about even casualties for even rolls. However, we're going to roll a 0 and the enemy army is going to roll a 9 in a shock phase. So we're immediately going to have to abandon the battle and seek to retreat our army. And that's fine. Like I said, this is a George Washington style of war where we suffer defeats, but we aim to win in the end. And I'm looking very carefully at the progression of the siege in Salonik, because when that siege is completed, that's going to preclude Ottoman military movement in that part of Greece, whilst enabling our own troops to attack Edirene. So my army is defeated. I'm going to immediately move it into Achaia. Never station your army in Muria, because if the Ottomans move into Achaia, your army becomes trapped. If your army's in Achaia, however, and they attack through Yanya, you can escape into Athens. Conversely, if they move into Athens, you can escape into Yanya. So under no circumstances should your army will ever be stationed in Moria. The best place to reposition if you suffer defeat is Achaia. And they're going to attack into Achaia. We're going to be able to escape into Athens, through into Terala, and evacuate to the north of Greece. Obviously, were we to lose this army at this portion in the playthrough, the war would be lost. You can see the Wallachians are also doing work. They're fighting another small Ottoman army that was aiming to reinforce and successfully defeated it. Now we're going to gain access from the Venetians and Serbians so that we can escape Ottoman territory as the Ottoman army is pursuing us. And we're just going to escape into Serbia and aim to do what damage we can by occupying additional Ottoman provinces, all the while seeking to avoid a direct confrontation while we buy time for the Hungarians to complete that crucial siege of Selanik. I would rather lose a couple major battles than give up that siege. That's all I'm focused on. Ottomans still field a formidable army, and it will have to be defeated in order for us to win the war. And don't be afraid to take loans. You'll have to take many, many loans in order for this strategy to work. So the Ottomans are moving north, probably to interdict our army, so we're going to be very careful about that, ensuring we don't fight any other pitched battles. And as they move north, we'll have a single regiment in the south move north itself and see if it can occupy any additional provinces. And as you can see, by selecting attached to this unit, the Athenian army has been following us extremely well throughout. As that siege of Selanik approaches its conclusion. So, there's a small enemy army, 3,000 troops. I'm going to try and intercept it and stack wipe it. If we can do that, that'll be a significant win for us. We occupy another province and we stack wipe that army, killing 3,000 Ottoman troops. We'll attempt to evacuate. Quickest evacuation avenue appears to be through Tergovaist on the 10th of September. And it looks like, unfortunately, the Ottoman army is going to capture us. So we're not going to be able to retreat in time. Means we're going to have to fight another set-piece engagement. And this is a battle we're going to lose. We suffer horrific casualties. And we're going to have to try and retreat as soon as possible. We suffered horrific casualties, but we were able to preserve the majority of our army. Again, don't worry too much about losing battles. You will sustain high casualties. You will suffer humiliating and crushing defeats, just like George Washington did. But just like George Washington, we hope to win in the end. So we bought more time for the Hungarians to complete that siege. It is taking a little longer than I had anticipated. But once that fortification's down, that's going to free up 20,000 Hungarian troops and allow us to counterattack the Ottoman army. So I can see the Wallachians are launching an ill-fated attack from Edirene. Now I have no control over this. Obviously I'd prefer it if they didn't do that, but they're going to do it. And suffice to say that they're going to lose that battle. And they do, they lose heavily. So that's 3 major losses so far to the Ottomans. And all we've been able to do is wipe out 6,000 enemy troops by stack wiping small reinforcing armies. But the siege of Salonik is complete. And now we have free access to attack Edirene. It'll also free up the Hungarian troops, so we're going to seek to reorganize our army. Try and converge in one point. And if possible, fight a defensive battle with the Ottomans. So, the Ottomans seeking to protect their capital, Edirene, counterattack the Hungarian troops, and we'll aim to reinforce those troops as soon as possible. If we can win this battle, depleting Ottoman army morale to 0 whilst preserving our own morale, we'll be able to pursue the retreating army and aim to stack wipe it. So it's actually a good thing that the Hungarians take the brunt of the battle here. We'll consolidate regiments, which improves the effectiveness of our overall army, by ensuring we have no depleted regiments in the front line. So the Hungarians are holding. You can see the significance of the Hungarian general being 4 shock. He's an indispensable asset to us. So we'll move our army into Edirene. Just in the nick of time. It's a -2 modifier to the attacking force. Even still, we're suffering extremely high casualties. And we're over the relations force limit, so we'll seek to revoke that military access. So we win a battle, our first major battle won, and we'll attempt to pursue the retreating Ottoman army. Now, as you can see, the end of the month is now, 31st of January, so the Ottoman army will only get 1 month of retreating army morale recovery. That's extremely good for us. Means we'll be able to interdict them before the end of the next month. And we'll have a superior morale advantage. And that won't dramatically increase the fighting effectiveness of our troops, but it'll ensure the battle's over quickly. And the Hungarians are going to counterattack as well, which is even better for us. Unfortunately, our heir, who was a general, died, so our 2 shock, 2 fire heir is dead, and we'll have to replace him with our 1 fire, 0 shock leader. But I can't hire a new general, because I need to save military power for getting to military tech level 4, which we aim to do before the Ottomans, so I'm going to pursue that retreating Ottoman army. Now it's the middle of the month, so we should be able to capture it before their morale recovers. Also, we can't recruit a general from the estate system because we need to save bleeding off loyalty to boost our military power by 100 through the interaction. So we attack this Ottoman army. They have obviously superior numbers of cavalry. And we win, so we'll pursue it and aim to stack wipe these armies. 10,000 troops in all. And we stack wipe the first army, killing 5,000 troops. And we stack wipe the second army, killing another 4,500 troops. So that's good news for us. However, the war is not over yet. As I said earlier, the Ottomans can field an impressive army with significant manpower reserves. So we'll have to fight other battles, but for now we're focusing on besieging down Edirene. And if we can do that, the war is effectively won, because that'll accrue the sufficient war score we need to reclaim our cause. So it's just a case now of successfully sieging down Edirene, whilst remaining guarded against any Ottoman counterattack. We're losing a significant amount of money per month, but that's what loans are for. We complete the occupation of all the provinces. Obviously, we're precluded from attacking across the Strait of Bosporus because we have no active fleet. And if we can't contest the strait, we can't move troops across. So we'll content ourselves with sieging down Edirene, which will take quite some time because it is the capital. It holds 3,000 garrison troops. And we have to be mindful that the Ottomans are not finished yet, and they can certainly launch some counterattacks. Here's an interesting event I haven't seen before. So the Ottomans are going to, it appears, counterattack. They've only got 13,000 troops. However, I'm sure they'll be able to raise more. So we'll just be guarded, ensuring that if they do attack, we can reinforce quickly. Alright, and they do attack. They've actually managed to marshal up 16,500 troops. They inflict very heavy morale damage, so we have to reinforce quickly. And the Hungarians thankfully come to our aid. Yeah, we win the battle, but it's close and we suffer heavy casualties. We're not going to be able to pursue that retreating army. So I'm probably going to have to consolidate my regiments and recruit some mercenaries. It's another event, lose military power. Unfortunately, not the type of events I want, given the fact that the final phase of his strategy revolves around us totally destroying the Ottoman army, and the way we do that is we get to military tech level 4 prior to the Ottomans achieving the same parity of tech. And that can be done through the nobility interaction, increasing our military power by 100, for I believe it is 15 loyalty. So I take out a loan, hire a couple Eastern medieval mercenary units, because to have the Ottomans defeat us in Edirene and subsequently lose this siege would be disastrous. Alternatively, we must ensure that the Ottomans aren't able to successfully siege down Constantinople, because that is their war goal, and that would significantly delay our victory. Seems that the Ottomans are going to make an attempt to besiege Constantinople with 13,000 troops. We can't initiate attacks since our regiments are weakened. We can't count upon the Hungarians reinforcing. So we'll focus all our efforts on sieging down Edirene, hoping to siege it down before they can siege down Constantinople. And we've got a new heir, who is unfortunately terrible. So we'll keep a reserve of 9,000 troops in Philebe, not committing our entire force into Edirene to keep our attrition low. Obviously, the Ottoman blockade of the Sea of Marmara is going to expedite the siege at Constantinople on their behalf. But we've progressed far enough into Edirene, I'm confident we'll be able to siege it down first. And then when we do, we'll aim to counterattack the Ottoman army in Constantinople. Siege is complete after 503 days. And we have accrued sufficient war score to impose peace terms. I'm just taking a look. I believe those are the provinces we're interested in. They're all cores, or at least claims. Just double checking. Now, unfortunately, in all the clamour of trying to win the war, I failed to notice that we had kept our diplomatic monarch points so low that we actually don't have a sufficient amount for the peace treaty we want. So that's going to delay the war by at least another year. Yeah, it's going to take us 12 months to accumulate the sufficient diplomatic monarch power. So we're going to take that nobility interaction, boost our military power by 100. That'll get us to military tech level 4, which is 1 ahead of the Ottomans. That means that the next battle we fight, we should have a significant advantage in the quality of our troops. But with our severely depleted force of 8,700 troops, it's still not sufficient to rout the Ottoman army by ourselves, so we're going to have to rely upon the Hungarians making the first charge into Constantinople. Obviously, losing Constantinople at this stage would be disastrous. Would delay the war significantly. So hopefully the Hungarians will attack. And I'm just seeing if I can sort of preempt the Hungarians by moving my army into Constantinople. They have a mind of their own, but they've been extremely helpful. There they go. Okay, so we'll reinforce, and hopefully we'll be able to win this battle decisively. And if we do, it's just a case of running down the clock, getting our diplomatic power up, and there's the Iberian wedding firing for Spain. Should be an easy victory. You can see we're much higher morale now. We actually outnumber them in cavalry. Yeah, we win fairly comfortably. And with that, should also mention, just to speed it up a little bit, speed it up by a couple of months, I hired a trade advisor to boost our diplomatic power up. And hopefully get us to the peace treaty quicker. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to forgo 1 mercantilism because we really can't afford to lose 25 more diplomatic power at this stage. Always hard to say no to mercantilism. It is such a great stat. Although it is something that gives accumulative bonuses and takes a long time to be worthwhile. So the Ottomans are still launching small counterattacks into Edirne, but you can see they don't have sufficient quantities of troops to really challenge us now. You can also see how our strategy has sort of evolved and unfolded. Like I said, we first aim to encircle our army in southern Greece, while simultaneously sieging down some of their fortifications, fighting defensive battles, and ultimately defeating their army in the field. Now they have another formidable army of 17,000 troops in Constantinople. I did mention that the Ottomans have tremendous manpower reserves, but I don't think they're going to be able to besiege down the fortification prior to us suing for peace. So we're just going to speed up a little bit here. And we're about to hit 1453. Looks like we'll be able to win the war a month before we aim to. And there we go. Byzantine cores reclaimed. Means we're not going to have to spend any administrative power. And we pretty much set ourselves up for the mid and late game. This is how you start with the Byzantines. Aim to beat up the Ottomans, reclaim your cores, establish a land bridge between Achaia and Constantinople. And with this territory will be a force to be reckoned with in the future. So this is a fairly robust strategy guide. It is repeatable. If you follow the steps closely, you should be able to win yourself. I'm Oscar Mike, and as always, thanks for watching. Oscar Mike out.